Hello YouTubers, it's jskyler91 here, and today I will be making the sixth portion of my How to Avoid Cube Rotations video section and series for the Cubing World for my Cubing World watchers. This will be the third video in my series for Season 2. And so this is basically going to be a video on giving a few examples of when you would utilize the edge orienting techniques. In particular, these are all just from the front. I'll do another video of different examples from multiple angles, but just a few examples of where you would utilize this edge orienting technique that I taught you throughout the first 5 videos. So let's go ahead and start with something simple like this. Now let's say, now this is always going, for now we're just basically assuming that we have a formed F12 pair and we're looking ahead to the next pair, and when we're thinking, should I be worried about the edge orientation of the next pair? Well, I will say to you should always be worried about it. The orientation of the next pair's edge will determine whether or not that next pair is going to require a cube rotation or some special 3-gen movements. So in a situation like this, we can see here we have this pair, and this was really easy. We saw this next pair coming, and most of you probably would have just inserted that and then been stuck with this, which would have kind of worked, or you might have done the U2 insert. But you might have realized that was going to either require cube rotation or another move that was a lot more difficult than necessary. Instead, if you had noticed that that edge was misoriented, which we could tell because it lined up in the front and the back, you could have just done a sledgehammer here, and now you won't need to cube rotate or do anything else. You can just do U-prime, put it in. There we go. So again, if I just did a sledgehammer here knowing that edge was misoriented, I could keep these pairs together like that and never need to do a cube rotation. Another example, we see here I have another misoriented edge. Now you see these are all conveniently located in the front right slot. I'll show you what to do later with other things that are not. But for the moment, if we run into something like this right here, also worth it to do a cube rotation. Or also worth it to avoid a cube rotation if we just do this sledgehammer. Right there. Right there. So you see, simple little tricks like this, just utilizing a cube, or utilizing these sledgehammers, or in the other way, the other trick I showed you as well, will allow you to avoid having to do a cube rotation later. So again, here we do that, and now this would be a case right here where we wouldn't want to do that. In fact, actually, this will be an example of something that we'll get to later, which is insert choices. So choosing what type of insert you want to do. In this case right here, we see the edge is not misoriented, which means that when we do this, it will be solved 2-genable. And actually, in this case, what we'd want to do is we would have wanted to have inserted it from a U2 away, because it split the two of these up. And that away, we could have just done this from there. Okay, and moving on to another example. Now, this would be an example of where the edge is flipped, it's not in place, but it's not in the front, but it's still worth it, in my opinion, to do a sledgehammer here. You could avoid you could not do a sledgehammer and deal with the cases that result. But actually, if you see here, and this is something we'll learn later, how to manipulate the orientation of corners, I know that this corner is going to end up right there, and it's going to form a pair. So that's totally worth it. So this would be another example where using a sledgehammer would be very useful. And you actually weren't worried about the orientation of the edge there, actually about the corner, which is something we'll get to later. So I hope that gives you guys a couple examples and a little bit of a taste into what we're moving into, which is going to be utilizing all these tricks in addition to multiple more to have near cube rotationless solves almost every time if we can. And so I hope this helps you guys out. Please rate, comment, subscribe. Thank you.